All right, y'all, let me explain to you exactly why I have a burning, passionate hatred for all these scumbag politicians in Washington, D.C. So, over the weekend, we had this big show where the media and corporate politicians in both parties have been screaming from the rooftops for the past few weeks. We have a must-pass bill. It's a must-pass bill. It's not open to debate or questioning. We are dealing with a crisis and a scandal and a tragedy, and we must pass this legislation. Now, what's the legislation they're referring to? Well, the House voted on 4 separate bills, but then they packaged it together and are sending it to the Senate, where it's going to be one bill, and then the Senate is overwhelmingly likely going to pass it, and the president is 100% going to sign it. So what is this must-pass legislation that was all the rage over the weekend, where they were, all in, working really hard to try to get the deal done? More money for Ukraine, more money for Israel, money for Taiwan, and a TikTok ban. This is what they define as must-pass legislation. We have to do it now. Don't ask any questions. Let's get it done. So I think it's about $60 billion for Ukraine. It's over $26 billion for Israel, $8 billion for Taiwan, and again, the TikTok ban. The specifics of that are over a 9-month period is basically forcing divestment from the current owners of TikTok to some American owner, and if that doesn't happen, TikTok, one of the most popular social media apps in the country, gonzo, dunzo, over. Okay, I have so much to say about all this. Let's start with the lowest hanging fruit. It's a must-pass bill to send $26 billion more to Israel. Israel, just the other day, bombed Rafah, the last remaining safe area in Gaza where 1 million Palestinians are, trying to avoid bombs being dropped on top of their head. Israel just bombed Iraq to go after some Shia Iranian proxies in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Council. Israel just attacked the West Bank, where there is no Hamas. They bulldozed a village, they ripped up the roads, they destroyed the sewer lines. For the past however long it's been, since October 7th until today, Israel has been nonstop bombing hospitals, schools, mosques, churches, marketplaces, stores, homes, factories, UN buildings. They've killed 41,000 Palestinians, of which over 36,000 are innocent civilians, over 15,000 children, over 9,000 women. They are starving all of Gaza. They are engaged in the most blatant, brazen, open, genocidal campaign and ethnic cleansing I've ever seen in my life. And it was a must-pass to send them $26 billion more. What the fuck do you think that $26 billion more is going to go towards? You think it's going to go towards puppies and rainbows? You think it's going to go towards a universal basic income program? You think it's going to go to reduce poverty? No, it 100% is going to be used for this project of annihilation. Every single person in Congress that voted to send more money to Israel has blood on their hands, and I think it's fair to say they're doing the equivalent of funding the Nazis in 1940. That's what this is. We can't play dumb. We can't be stupid. Look at the evidence. Look at the facts on the ground. Look at what they're doing. And look at the fact that we are still supporting them, which then leads to the question, guys, and I'm going to ask this question sincerely. Is there anything that Israel could do that would make the U.S. say, you know what? No, you're done. Clearly, we're never going to sanction them. We're never going to condemn them fully at the UN. We're never going to force a two-state solution. We're never going to arrest Netanyahu and bring him up on war crimes charges, which 100% should happen. Clearly, those things are never going to happen. But is there anything Israel could do that could even make us just cut the money off? Stop sending billions more to them. Honestly, I'm at the point now where I think even if they nuked Gaza, they would still try to send them more money. To be this dense and detached from the real-world consequences of their actions is fucking disgusting. By the way, there was a block of Democrats in the House who voted against this. but I believe about 80% of even the Democrats voted for this, and all the Republicans except one, Thomas Massie, voted for the money to Israel. So let's just start with that. A must-pass bill is arming a country in the middle of a genocide so they can continue it. Must pass. Now, the Ukraine thing, look, I understand supporting Ukraine. They were illegally invaded by Russia. Russia committed a horrific act of aggression against Ukraine. So I sympathize with them. And by the way, when they passed this, they were all waving, all the Democrats were like waving Ukrainian flags on the floor of the House. By the way, let's reel it in with that, please. Let's reel it in with that. This is the U.S. waving a foreign country's flag. But by the way, they should be waving Palestinian flags. I love the moral detachment, the disconnect here, where it's like, on the one hand, we're going to arm and fund the people who were illegally invaded. And on the other hand, we're going to arm and fund the people who are doing the illegal invasion. No moral consistency whatsoever. Not in the slightest. But look, I understand the Ukraine thing, but we've already passed, 12, 14, 16 different attempts of giving them a tremendous amount of money and weapons. So how often are we going to, if we're on time number 182, are we still going to do a 183rd? Clearly, at some point, you're going to have to solve this thing. You're going to have to sit down. You're going to have to negotiate. It's going to end that way either way. Might as well have it done now. Did you know that in Ukraine, they're now sending mentally challenged people to the front lines? You have like senior citizens and mentally challenged people who are sent to the front lines, and it's like, all right, we're going to force you, go ahead, defend your country. So we're going to prolong this by another year, 2 years, 3 years. And for what? At the end of the day, you're going to sit down at the table anyway, and you're going to have to negotiate some sort of a deal, even though none of us like that. None of us want that, because Russia did the illegal and offensive act. So in a perfectly moral and just world, it's like, okay, fucking withdraw. Withdraw, Russia, and Putin should be brought up on fucking war crimes charges. That's if the world made sense. The world doesn't make sense. So you know what's going to happen. Eventually, you're going to have to negotiate. But no, we're going to fund this war for another year, 2 years, whatever it is. Watch thousands more people die. So again, a must pass. Must pass Ukraine funding, must pass Israel funding, and must pass Taiwan funding. This is also like, if China invades at some point, we're going to make sure that Taiwan is okay, and we care about them because they create a lot of our microchips. We have an economic tie with them. We don't want China to expand. You guys know that whole thing. And then we got the TikTok ban. Can you imagine passing a bill during an election year when Biden is struggling with young people? He's struggling with young voters. Yeah, let's pass a ban on their favorite fucking app. I'm sure that'll work out great for me. I mean, this is a political malpractice. Are you trying to lose? And by the way, why are they doing this? There's a front here. The front is, Chinese owners, but like that's the front. That's the veneer of the argument. The reality is, there's been a lot of reporting about how TikTok is a hotbed of pro-Palestine commentary and anti-Israel commentary. And they don't like that. Our Congress, which is bought and paid for by AIPAC and the DMFI and Israel lobby, they hate that you can get a pro-Palestine perspective on one of the biggest social media apps, especially for young people. And so they want to ban it. By the way, this also gives a tremendous amount of power, broader powers, to let the president crack down on, look, if you could just ban one social media app, why wouldn't you be able to ban another one? Right? This grants broad power and authority to just control the internet on an authoritarian's whim. Must pass. These are all must pass bills. So like I said, they got through the House. They're going to get through the Senate. Biden's going to sign it. Now, the final point I want to make is very simple. The fact that they have the nerve to act like these are must pass, and we need to do it right now, and it's super important that we keep funding this genocide and we ban a social media app. We live in a country where there are 650,000 homeless Americans. Have they ever called an emergency session and called a bill to abolish homelessness a must pass? Of those 650,000, about 50,000 of the homeless people in this country are veterans. Somebody goes and fights for this country, then they come home. Sorry, shit out of luck. If you don't have the money, if you don't have the resources, if you're mentally not well, if you're homeless, you're homeless. What are you going to do? 50,000 homeless veterans, 650,000 homeless Americans. Nobody ever said, Well, must pass legislation. We have a scandal, a crisis, Americans on the street. We need to act immediately. That would be more of a must pass in a world that made sense. Medical bills are the number one cause of bankruptcy in this country. I mean, we're talking about must pass. We gotta abolish medical debt. We gotta abolish all of it. This is unacceptable. We're the only developed country with even a category of medical debt. Number one cause of bankruptcy. That's insane. We need to do something about this immediately. The housing market. The prices are immensely unaffordable. Emergency. We need to get together to find a way to reduce these home prices so that people have a chance to live a decent life. None of these things. Flint, Michigan with the fucking poisoned water. Shout out to Jordan Sheridan, who's been on this beat for a really, really long time. He's the last person in the country who's looking at this and caring about it. Flint, Michigan has had poisoned water for years. It was a must pass. We need to go to Congress and fix this ASAP. We have a number of cities in this country that have poisoned water. We need to upgrade the pipes immediately. None of that is must pass. Nobody cares. Nobody says anything. Must pass is for fucking war funding and bailing out Wall Street and banning social media apps that say things that are politically incorrect on them. This is why I hate these motherfuckers, and this is why you should too. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.